a lot of good team come to Korea. Unfortunately, we haven't had a trip because it's a new team. So it's our first time to travel for game. I love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back at the World Playoffs on an action-packed day number 1, continuing Group B now. I'm DJ Wheat alongside Rachel.
Our next game is an all-Asia map-up. Korea's NaJin Sword goes up against Vietnam's Dark Horse, the Saigon Jokers. Let's bring out the teams.
Introducing our first team, the blue team, the winners of the Korean Regional Final and finishing 3rd at the OGN Azubu Champions Summer Tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for NaJin Sword! In the jungle, give it up for Watch!
The AP carry, Song.
In the top lane, Maknoon!
And support is Kane.
And rounding out the 5-man team at AD carry, give it up for Prey!
Going up against Sword is the surprising team from Vietnam. They won the Southeast Asian qualifiers in front of their home crowd. Please welcome the Saigon Jokers. On support, we have Junie.
Support the AD carry, Archie!
In the jungle, it's Violet.
The AP carry, we've got Nyx Water.
And rounding out the top lane, it's QTV.
And of course, to bring you every step of the action in this exciting matchup, let's shoot on over to Jet and D-Man.
Yeah, thank you very much, DJ Wheat and Rachel. And wow, this game is one that nobody expected to happen. Both teams coming into this one as the underdog. NaJin Sword beating out heavily favored Azubu Blaze. Honestly, after the MLG Summer Arena, I had them as a nailed-on visitor for this tournament. And of course, the Saigon Jokers coming through to this one against the Singapore Sentinels. Everybody had Singapore Sentinels qualifying that one at Vietnam, but well, Saigon Jokers, they turned up a new result. And honestly, having never beat Singapore Sentinels before, ever, in the Garena Premier League, they came out and won 2-0 in that winners bracket final, lower bracket final, I should say, they came through from. So they had to win, and then they won again, and it was fantastic. So you know what? The underdogs coming into this one, they've got absolutely nothing to lose. What would you expect coming from this one, Jack?
This game, they have to just continue being the underdogs. They have to hold their momentum, and really, a lot of this could be NaJin's Sword, big reveal to a lot of these people, because even for people who followed OGN, if they didn't follow the regionals afterwards, for the final qualifying spot, they don't know that much about Maknoon's team and NaJin Sword. That team was actually made for Maknoon. He was on NaJin Shield, and he didn't really mesh well with their team. He'd dive in and nobody would follow him. So they made NaJin Sword with a team of people who could play at his style and just mesh with him. And it's worked out amazingly because they had a crazy run here. They had to beat 3 of the other top Korean teams in a row in one of those like ascending brackets to make it to Azubu Blaze by the end of it. Then they took them out in the best of 5. So everyone thought Blaze was going to be here, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
Blaze beat TSM 5-0 in the MLG Summer Arena, and NaJin Sword beat Blaze. So they're pretty good.
Yeah, and it was a pretty crazy back-and-forth match, ending in with a blind pick as well. But wow, I mean, what a crazy, crazy matchup straight away. Saigon Jokers, I mean, they're coming into this one. Unfortunately, we've spoken to them, and they are not that confident themselves, which is a danger coming into a big tournament like this.
They need to have faith in themselves, really, when they come into this. They've admitted themselves that their team fighting is not that good right now, and we actually have a video here which has them explaining it to us.
Southeast Asia. 11 countries covering nearly 2 million miles are represented by just 2 teams here at the Season 2 World Championship. In front of a massive crowd, the Taipei Assassins fought through a 100-team tournament to face Hong Kong's Corsair in the Taiwan Regional Finals. Corsair was no match for the Assassins, who swept the series 2-0, earning their bid to the World Championship. Vietnam, the Southeast Asia Regionals. The heavily favored Singapore Sentinels look to be on their way to Los Angeles after knocking the Saigon Jokers down to the losers bracket. But not going down without a fight, the Saigon Jokers made their way to the finals, setting up a rematch against the Singapore Sentinels. Behind the support of their home crowd, the Saigon Jokers stunned the Sentinels 2-1 to secure a spot in the World Championship. The Taipei Assassins and Saigon Jokers are now poised to take on the best team from around the globe with the hopes of bringing the title home to Southeast Asia.
Yeah, welcome back. I mean, we can talk straight away about that. I mean, they were at home in a massive crowd at Vietnam. They were the home favorites. They've now come over here on a 2-week trip to Los Angeles with a chance at winning $1 million. That would mean a hell of a lot to them, certainly at home. You may have also seen it. There's a video online that Garana have done. It's got all their family, just like we saw with Singapore Sentinels when they went to the IPL face-off, just saying, wishing them luck. They've got the pressure off them, I guess you could say, because even themselves, they don't expect to do well. So they should be able to play with freedom.
I really hope they do, and that goes right into the keys to the match here for them, because NaJin Sword, sorry, I'm mixing it up a bit.
You go for it.
But NaJin Sword needs to just play what's comfortable against these guys, because overall, we said the Saigon Jokers don't have necessary faith in themselves. Their team fighting is a little weak. NaJin Sword is potentially one of the best teams in the world as respected by their peers. So if they play what's comfortable, they'll be pretty solid.
Yeah, indeed. And, and you talked about the team had been modeled around him. They need to follow what McNoon does.
And that was the big problem when McNoon was on NaJin's shield, is he would dive in and everyone would be like, oh, I didn't expect you to do that, and he'd just die. But now that he's on shield or sword, everyone just goes in with him. So if they follow him, they'll be set.
Yeah, and they need to be ready to adapt, because we're not sure ourselves what Saigon Jokers are going to throw out there. They had a few little crazy things in the qualifiers, in the finals. They could come up with something completely different in this tournament.
They like things like luck support. Saigon Jokers do. They've
Which
done
we've seen
double
already
mid.
this
They did
tournament.
double mid in the actual qualifier to get here. So it's all about NaJin Sword adapting to what they do and just being ready for anything, because they can take them out. I think they're the better team here.
Yeah, so that's what NaJin Sword are going to do. Let's see what Saigon Jokers are going to do to continue their run here. Got to hold that momentum going.
It's really that. It's just a matter of, you just won the most unexpected tournament that anyone was there. Everyone in Vietnam was super thrilled that they were able to come from almost nowhere. All they've done is play online tournaments before that final, and they were
14-14 before they got there. So they won 14, lost 14. Nobody had them making it.
And they've qualified for the World Champions, so they just really need to embrace the fact that they're underdogs, keep the momentum going. They can do almost whatever they want. And if they embrace underdog, they're going to be able to throw Sword off of their game. Something crazy. You have nothing to lose. No one expected you to be here. If you do go 0-3, it's quite fine, honestly, because even themselves can embrace that fact. And if they do something crazy and they move on, they're going to surprise everyone, and it's going to be something they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and they've got that factor that, both teams are fairly new. I mean, Saigon Jokers have come across from various other games. They've sort of merged themselves together for League of Legends. You've got NaJin Sword that have come together, I think it was like within a week of OGN Summer Championships. The pre-qualifiers they had to go through, so they went through a hell of a long process in that tournament. As we mentioned earlier, they were in Dignitas group. Now we look back at it, but before we saw Dignitas and we're like, oh, they got knocked out in the group stage and everybody was, dumping on them. It turns out they had Azubu Frost and NaJin Sword in their group stage. That's not too bad. And Incredible Miracle, if I remember rightly.
Right,
Actually,
it was.
No, it wasn't. It was
wasn't it?
ROMG.
You are correct.
Yeah. But, so coming into this one, we've seen it already with Azubu Frost. The Korean teams are drilled with this TV-style setup. They are ready, prepared for it. I don't know whether they came in and asked for makeup earlier, like Azubu Frost did. They were really ready. I was so impressed by their professionalism from Azubu Frost. And NaJin Sword, I think they're going to be the same. I saw them up there, so they've been asking for makeup. a lot of these teams, you know, they won't want to go near makeup.
Well,
I'm going to let you in a secret,
OGN.
guys. We have to wear makeup now and again for
Unfortunately.
these things. You know, we have all these lights on us and the sun, etc. But the Korean teams are so prepared for this TV-style tournaments. How Saigon Joker's going to be prepared for it?
And that's the thing, because Saigon Jokers, the only online event they've ever had was the qualifier to actually arrive here. So they need to just not be nervous. Hopefully they're not nervous now. They do have the noise-canceling headsets on. They need to focus and just pretend that it's an offline event, that they're just playing at home on their computers in another online event. Don't necessarily think of the huge stakes that are online. Just play for fun.
Just don't think of the huge crowd in front of you.
It's not there.
Yeah, the
It's
TV cameras, each little desk has got a camera on it. Just ignore all that. Easier said than done, that's for sure. I mean, how, from you as a player, how would you shut that out? I mean, how would you just tunnel vision yourself and focus on the game?
The biggest thing is, hopefully these guys have pulled onto this, but LAN experience is a really big moment.
Yeah.
TSM, it's the difference between some of the top teams and some of the other ones who just went online. You have to save your settings. You can go in, it's like a game CFG file. You load it onto, you bring your USB drive. You make sure you bring the same mouse, get the same keyboard. Try to set your desk to the right height so you're not off. You also got to try to warm up on these computers. I see some guys, they go through kind of keystroke practicing. I was watching Patoy warm up the other day, and before the game, he just spams all of his keys. His 1, 2, 3, 4, his F keys, his tab screen, all those things, just to get a flow and get used to your keyboard. So much of it is just preparation and making it comfortable, because the last thing you want to do is have a mouse that's at the wrong sensitivity, have a keyboard where you hit the wrong key, and have it cost you the game. And that happens way more than you'd expect at those events like MLG, where 12 teams come in and they don't have any LAN experience.
Absolutely, and you know, you've got to get the right drivers. You've got to make sure you've got everything prepared that you can just possibly, every possible little thing that could go wrong, you've just got to imagine it is going to go wrong and prepare for the fact.
And it's been just such a crazy day of League of Legends. On top of all this, we can do a quick recap almost of what we've done so far.
There's been some crazy games. We've already had 7 games, actually. 7 games already today of the 12. Well, we say 12. If we get some crazy playoff situation, we could be here till very early hours of the morning. We're hoping it's just 12 right now.
We could have 25 hours of League of Legends today if possible. It might happen.
Let's hope it doesn't go on quite that long. It's been a long day for some of us. So, I mean, earlier on today, we saw the very first game of the day, Azubu Frost versus IG. Both the teams that qualified, and honestly, it met the hype because it was a crazy, crazy match.
It was one of the best matches we've had. I mean, from an excitement standpoint, I have to say the CLG NA versus SK game was an absolutely insane ending.
But it was okay. It was 30 minutes of boredom, and then it just went boom.
It was worth it. Let me just say that.
Worth it.
Unfortunately for them, they haven't made it on out of the group stage, but that game in particular, if anyone wants to check out the VOD of even just the ending of that game, do it. Because triple teleports, base race, promoted minions, just
it had everything.
Lots of things.
It had everything tucked away in there. And also, you know, we had some fantastic matches. CLG earlier on as well versus IG. Actually turned out to be IG showing a really dominant form.
IG really impressed in that group. Even the very first game against Azubu Frost, as you were touching on earlier when I decided to just jump off on a tangent, they gave Frost pretty much everything that the Korean metagame perceives as the best.
They're definitely the closest.
Everything they wanted. Ezreal, just Chen on top of that if they wanted it. And they came out with their own strategy. They played Jarvan. They played Swain. Those aren't particularly popular picks. And they were taking it to them for a lot of that.
And we saw Evelyn banned. Very first game of the day.
And the E-ban was gone. They banned a Lux against... I'm trying to go too far back. Lux against IG, I believe. No, they banned Lux against...
They banned Lux against the Azubu Frost as well. Right. And we found out why when he managed to get to play it later on. Madlife, you know, we talked about the players. Who would you really pick for one of the superstars so far of this tournament? I mean, that's I know I'm asking a lot there, but you've got to be thinking, obviously, Azubu Frost or IG, we would have thought.
I'm going to give 2. One from each of the teams that qualified on. So from... I have the 2. I'm going to get there. The singed player from the IG
Shy.
Game. Shy, sorry.
Yep.
From Azubu Frost. Absolutely dominated that game against SK.
2v1 in it.
His just top lane was so impressive. He completely controlled the map and just showed how you were supposed to play Singed. He pulled everything to him on that map and really just gave a clinic on how you could take over a game as a top laner without ever leaving your lane. He didn't have to roam. He didn't have to do anything like that. When you look over at IG, I do have to give it to PDD, another top laner, surprisingly. It's just, even his Jarvan play, just the aggression, and you can tell when they're playing, just with the way they communicate with each other. He's the leader of that team, so I kind of have to give it to him.
Okay, so, well, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we are going to get ready to go. So let's get in towards Champion Select. It is going to be NaJin Sword versus Saigon Jokers, and immediately the ban's coming in. And, you know, this is something we've seen for a lot from the Asian teams. Twisted Fate banned out straight away.
That's just quickly done. They don't want Saigon Jokers to get anything creative. They know also that Saigon Jokers loves to go for early game team compositions, and a lot of that can be focused around what these bans are giving. Twisted Fate and Lee Sin, TF gets the early lane ganks, Lee Sin also early lane ganks. Looks like NaJin Sword is just trying to play it safe, getting rid of all the things that could disrupt them the most, and really, like we said earlier, just trying to keep it comfortable.
Yeah, now I recall Song did play Evelyn in one of those matches in the final, actually, the regional finals in Korea. He played a very good Evelyn, so, you know, that's a fully justified ban. You know, you people at home may be thinking of solo queue, just thinking, what is he doing? This is now a justifiable ban. Lee Sin and Alistair also being taken out. Alistair pretty much a common ban in Korea, so I'm not surprised to see that one go down. Sivir did surprise me a little bit. I'm trying to think of whether Prey's that strong on Sivir. I guess maybe there's something in there that Saigon Jokers have definitely rehearsed on this one. They've all been up practicing throughout the last 2 or 3 days. I think we saw them. I saw them in the Riot offices. They were in the PC bang practicing alongside Taipei Assassins, actually, wasn't it? I think they were practicing with for a while.
And they also
Diana
scrimming
being
up
banned
against
out
SK up earlier. Now that SK, they were winning some of those scrims, so they're not a slouch, actually. Saigon Jokers, despite not having faith in themselves, can win a lot of these games. MacDoon with that first pick, Jace. He loves Jace. And there's something he does on Jace that is... I need to explain this. Is actually really cool.
Oh, go for
the
it.
acceleration gate into the shock blast. What a lot of players do is they'll shoot the shock blast and it'll go out, then they'll hit it through the gate, and that's when it speeds up the missile. But when MacDoon does it, he'll put the gate right at the origin of a shock blast, so it goes fast the whole time. The reason that's so difficult is because you have to click really close to yourself to aim something really far away, so your variance goes way up.
Right.
But when he does that, the missile gets there faster, it's harder to dodge, and because he's so good at it, it's still really accurate. Just watch
pro. I love these pro players. They pull out things and I'm just like, wow, is that what happened? But Shen and Ezreal being picked up, so immediately they've got that support. Is this going to be a Shen jungle? I would guess so. Ezreal down that bottom lane. Well, I say bottom lane. Like we'd mentioned, there was a Lux down the bottom lane, but that was more of a reactionary move towards Singapore Sentinels.
It could be, but also, Saigon Jokers has been known to run 2 people mid, so that Ezreal could very well go mid.
I remember seeing an interview from Watch here saying he wants to show the world his Skarner, and it looks like he's going to get a chance.
There it is. That's going to be what NaJin Sword loves to do. They love to dive in. They jump in with
Sona
Skarner.
as well.
And Sona is something that they just key off of every game they can get it. NaJin Sword picks it almost every game, but so does Saigon Jokers as well, so they've kind of taken it away from them.
Yeah, and I remember Loco Doka mentioning it in the regional finals. It's like, why did they not ban Sona? Because that crescendo is just landing, and basically it's like a full-on we win button. You know, the I win button you can occasionally get in games. That is what Saigon Jokers, NaJin Sword use, because they catch it out. And we talked about how much MacDoon likes to dive. The whole team will just take that as the trigger to go.
And these picks actually coming in fairly fast through
there's
the rest of
Lux.
it. We got the Lux once again. She's seen a lot of play so far this tournament. This is something they like to run as a support. It's an Ezreal Lux lane in a lot of these scenarios. It's actually quite strong. If they both hit level 6, one light binding comes across, and they can both just combo their ultimates for pretty much a clean kill in those lanes.
So Song looks like he's going to be taking Rise as well. So immediately looks like, I'm guessing Corki's going to get locked in. Yes, he is. So Corki's going to be the AD carry. They're going to be using standard stuff here. Didn't go for Graves. I mean, it's really the playoff. It's the Ezreal, Graves, or Corki. That's the first time we've seen Cogmore already today. And the question is, who will be where in this? Is it going to be the support Lux? Is it going to be a Karthus solo bot lane? Is it going to be Aurelia top lane? Is it going to be Aurelia bottom lane? They could play anywhere. We are unsure really of the exact tactic they want to go with here. We're pretty much guessing it's going to be a support Lux alongside Ezreal, but the question is, where will they play?
If I had to guess, actually, just based on this, Saigon Jokers has decided to not do anything super creative. I could yet to be surprised. Guessing it's the Lux Ezreal bottom, Karthus mid, Shen jungle, Aurelia top. QTV, favorite champion Aurelia by far. If he can get it every game, he can. And the fact that they let him kind of last pick that, MacDoon never tried to deny it, they never banned it or anything, shows me a little bit that NaJin Sword may not have done full research on Saigon Jokers because they would have been distracted with the other teams that they consider the threats. So here, Saigon Jokers pretty much getting all their favorite money champions. Karthus is Nixwater's favorite thing to play. Archie's favorite is Ezreal. Aurelia's favored for QTV. They get the Shen. So really, everything Saigon Jokers has here is right in their wheelhouse. And it's just a matter of NaJin Sword saying, we'll give it to you. We're going to try to beat you anyways.
We're going to try and beat you with it anyway. And they were happy with that, Jace, regardless. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen what the teams have selected. Let's have a shout out for those teams. Who do you want to win this one? Saigon Jokers coming in as a surprise guest. Would you like to see them take game one?
And let's hear it for NaJin Sword if you guys want to see them take the first game of this group stage.
That's a fairly even shout between the two. There's some optional support between the two. NaJin Sword definitely coming into this one as the favorites. I think it's safe to say, you know, Saigon Jokers coming into this one, they just need to forget what they are doing. Let's get into the game, ladies and gentlemen. We are underway. It is, if you've just joined us, NaJin Sword playing as the blue team, Saigon Jokers playing as the red team up the top lane. And well, honestly, on your screens, you can see just how awesome it is right here live in Los Angeles at the World Championships. And honestly, if you're not down here, you best get yourselves down here tomorrow. There's going to be plenty of space available, so make sure you are in and around the area of LA Live. Obviously, if you're living in a different country, it could be a problem.
It might be hard to get down here for the next day, but either way, I'm waiting for Saigon Jokers to see if they try anything creative or whether they're just comfortable enough on their champions to take out NaJin. NaJin's all 5 grouped up in this triangle brush. You can see Saigon Jokers are really playing defensively. They're trying to guard against and invade. NaJin Sword might try to make something happy, but if they're not threatened by Saigon Jokers, there's no need to risk a level 1. They could passive farm and hopefully take it that way. It's really interesting to see what they decide here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just seeing which are they going to go into it. It would be death to anyone entering that tri-bush. I think Ezreal's tempted to go near it and probably going to queue towards it. And just taking my eye, it is Archie that's taking a peek there. He's doing a bit of a disco dance. NaJin Sword going to go up towards the blue buff. So Archie's going to spot them.
Well, look at this. That's an Aurelia and a Lux in the bottom lane. And they really have a just odd setup right here because they're guarding against a blue invade. They got the pings down, but why, oh why, is Aurelia bottom lane with Lux?
Why, oh why indeed. Who to we to question why. We are just here to call the shots. And as it is, it's going to be Watch starting out on the Elder Wraith. Taking that one down. Golems will be going to Prey, so standard lanes from NaJin Sword by looks of it. Prey and Kayn on that bottom lane, and like you say, QTV is waiting here. Are they waiting to try and get a gank early on? Because Ezreal is still lingering as well. I think they want to get a level 1
So he
gank
still
here.
has the teleport. This is something actually the Team Legion in North America does fairly frequently. They'll 3 in the bottom brush and just kind of only show the 1, so 2 will be waiting in the brush and they'll just kind of farm, and they'll wait for them to push up thinking there's only 1 guy there and then try to jump out at them with 2. If that doesn't work or doesn't, they'll go out and teleport out.
They flash straight on towards Prey. They managed to get the light bind across. Surely it should be first blood. It will be! And QTV picks it up. You shouted yes because you called it right.
It's just, I love it when that play works because it's one of those strategies. The very first game that everyone who played League of Legends, they run into a brush, and 2 guys are waiting for there and they kill them.
There's 5 people down the bottom lane. You're just like, what?
That strategy still works at the highest level is amazing.
Now everybody's thinking back to their, their early days in League of Legends going, and they all know that one guy that checked the push down the bottom.
Did it, I guarantee you.
Doublelift is famous for being space checking, so everybody has done it, even at the pro level. So it worked out very well. We thought, to be honest, he was giving it away, and it worked out very nicely, which immediately means that Golem advantage that the blue side has completely backfired because Archie hit level 2 first.
And the interesting thing about all of that is QTV didn't actually teleport back up to the top lane. He decided to walk, which means he missed a fair number of minions, and Macnoon has an immediate experience advantage onto QTV. QTV got the kill, so he has the first blood gold, but even then Macnoon might still be able to bully him out of that.
So early gold advantage obviously towards Saigon Jokers. Still almost said Singapore Sentinels. It's just I was still that surprised that they didn't make it. But Saigon Jokers here on full merit. They are representing the whole of Vietnam here.
And even the Singapore Sentinels actually released a video saying they absolutely deserve to be here. They beat us, they've improved so much, and good luck. So that was a really good sportsmanship thing to see from Singapore Sentinels. And it just shows Saigon Jokers did qualify in here. They're completely legit. They won the games. They deserve to be a little bit respected, especially with that first blood.
Yeah, and with all calls to the honor system, Singapore Sentinels definitely singing the praises for that one. Tribush Ward will spot Violet. He's going to try and make his way down that bottom lane. as it is, as it stands. Take us through the lanes, Jan. I mean, we talked about this top lane to start with. QTV getting dived on the turret a little bit by McNoon, taking a little bit of damage. He's got a massive creep wave he needs to fend off here. Meanwhile, down the bottom here, and seeing Archie trying to go aggressive on Prey. Can he finish him off? Archie actually taking a tower hit. Surely will finish him off. He does get the kill, but he went down on the back of it. Kane managed to return the kill. He may even be able to get the kill on towards Lux there, just forces him away.
All aggression in that bottom lane, so let's try to get into
middle lane. Nick's Water actually getting caught out here by Watch. Watch wanted to prove to the world that he is the best, well, honestly, the best Skarner player in the world. Well, you got to go against Diamond Prox to prove that one because he plays a pretty mean Skarner himself.
Looking into the top lane here while we have a second, the Aurelia versus the Jace matchup. McNoon thinks Jace can beat everything in top lane. That's why he first picked it, and he's very comfy on it. Thus far, with that experience advantage, he's going to look to just keep pressed, counter gank potentially from Skarner here if he sees Violet, and they could maybe get something here going on.
Yeah, and that would also explain why he wanted to see Soaz here from Fnatic. As it is, McNoon's got to be careful. He doesn't go too deep on this one. Violet is there, but Watch is helping out. Red buff though, McNoon continuing to get that damage down onto him. Quite happy to just stick it out there. This aggression that he shows on Violet just starting to burn down his hit points, but QTV will be able to manage to sustain himself. But the two junglers, it's almost becoming a double lane at that top.
And in that top lane, McNoon is going to be a bully to QTV. QTV needs to wait until he's got a lot of levels before he can actually duel McNoon or just try to run him out of mana. Since they're both low, that's going to be a tricky lane. Going into the mid lane, we have the Karthus versus the Ryze. This is going to be all about setup for the ganks right here. If he lands that Dark Binding, oh, we have something. Never mind, we don't have something going down bottom. Song is going to try to not get shoved by Karthus. Nixwater, as Karthus, usually outfarms everyone. So far, 7 minions up onto Ryze. It's really all about whether they can turn ganks around for Ryze onto Karthus. Looking in the bottom lane, this lane is just about all up aggression and brawling because the Lux and Ezreal are in it to fight and they have no sustain. So every time they go in for a trade, every time they go in for a light binding, there's a potential for someone to die. So really the bottom lane, as you've seen already, is most likely going to have the most action.
Yeah, and actually I noticed that, I think it was Kane or Prey, I didn't see who it was down the bottom there, was Kane was staying a long way away from the experience. Prey is just farming it up because he had fell behind. Kane, you can see, he's actually a level advantage over Prey at the moment, and he was just staying out of it, letting all the experience go to Kane. The top lane though, QTV, McNoon just finished him off there. He just stuck around longer and eventually just got chipped away at.
McNoon actually putting 0 points in his W thus far. Everything going in to his E and his Q, so all his main damaging burst spells are getting as much ramp as possible. He didn't even level up his ultimate come level 6, which is why QTV got surprised by that burst damage, because most Jaces are not going to have that skill set up come level 6.
And as it is, Archie and Judy down that bottom lane, they've been poked pretty heavily. I think they're going to have to back away from this one because Kane and Prey definitely working them over slowly but surely. And you can see the health pots being burnt through. Archie now completely out of health pots. Again, that shield from Junie just trying to cover him off there. He has gone for the double door and is trying his best to keep that sustain on, but Prey slowly but surely is going to dive in towards it. Junie will get taken down. That's going to be the QTV teleported in there. Are they going to be able to finish off Prey? The crescendo goes across. It will be enough. Can they get on towards Kane though? QTV just needs to go one dash. Blocked off by the minions. That's too much to tower dive. Oh, now Watch is going to rejoin in. He has got his ultimate available, but he's not going to go for it and just backs away.
He didn't quite have enough mana to combo on the things there with Watch. He would have been able to flash ult someone, but then he wouldn't have been able to follow it up, and he was worried he was going to die to QTV. Didn't want to actually pull someone in to his Sona. Other than that, lots of pings going down. Song getting caught out by a ward. So much aggression going down in that bottom lane, and QTV camping. They don't expect him to still be there, but Song coming down as well. They have to fall back. QTV out of position.
Out of position, he does dive onto a Song now. Archie seems to be the target, but because QTV won onto the Song there, they should be able to pick it up. A brilliant taunt there coming out from Violet. Turns it into a double kill. Absolutely spectacular stuff. And Saigon Jokers keeping themselves in this one, 5-4 up. The top turret will go down though. McNoon opening up the exchange and taking the first turret of the game.
McNoon is crushing Aurelia in the top lane, but because of that, QTV realized he's not able to lane against Jace, and he's trying to make things happen elsewhere. All that action in the bottom lane has given them the kill advantage. It's really just a matter of they have to find a way to deal with McNoon. McNoon went the Brutalizer. They're going to have to focus him in team fights and try to kill him out early. But overall, 9 minutes into the game, Saigon Jokers doing an amazing job showing NaJin Sword that they're not to be taken for granted.
Absolutely, as it is at the moment, this bottom lane continuing to push on. So Prey returning back, and he's gone. Jace now gone with a Brutalizer in that top lane. He wants to really absolutely knock 7 bells out of him. Looks like Phage is going to get built up.
Shen
Kane's
bottom
getting
lane.
caught out again here. Archie's going to dive on towards him. There's the Shen ultimate coming down. And he's going to immediately taunt him out there. Can they finish off towards Bray here? Violet went looking for him. McNoon joins the party though. He comes down. Can they go towards Archie? Yes, they can. McNoon gets one. Can they get a second? They're trying to go towards Judy. Lifeline just keeping them away there. I feel that McNoon wants to punish this one. Judy realizes it, tries to take down the minions, tries to force them away here, and they realize they're in danger of being dived on the turret.
And this is actually really quite exceptional by McNoon. 4 points into Q, 4 points into E. He has not put a point into W or R yet this game, so he's trying to maximize his QE damage. This is something I've not seen Jaces do. Maybe it's my ignorance, or maybe it's just McNoon doing something crazy, because it is working out amazingly well for them so far.
Absolutely, you can see Prage is going to continue driving home on that turret. He is going to take it down. I was about to say that's very un-Korean of him. The Koreans very much take that advantage. Once they see that turret, they will take it down very quickly. So QTV now starting to farm his way back up in that top lane. He has been involved, but McNoon, 66 CS to 50 CS, 2-0-0, proving why he's a danger man.
It's really going to be about McNoon roaming around now and taking down turrets. Took the turret top by himself really easily. The instant he goes bottom, he gets kills and takes another turret. He's probably going to farm up here top very briefly, then maybe try to force mid and get the third. NaJin Sword loves to keep on the pressure. This is going to be very interesting how McNoon transitions the rest. All of his skill points going into Shock Blast and Acceleration Gate. Those EQs are going to truck down Saigon Jokers if they get into any kind of siege situation.
Absolutely, we just seen Judy marking up the territory, as it were, down by the dragon. Meanwhile, McNoon continues just to farm up on this top lane. He's really caused himself a problem. Where's he heading? He's just got to keep your eye on McNoon. Once he starts heading somewhere, it generally means there's going to be a kill that will follow. Looks like he's going to go heading in towards the middle here, towards Caliper. Sneaks Water needs to be careful.
Also, the dragon is up. They could potentially...
Archie and Judy are actually heading over towards the dragon already. You can see Shen is there, and they are going to pull out the dragon. You can see dragon is going to come out, as it is. Aren't NaJin Sword aware of this? And they don't seem to be, or are they even going to bother going for it? It looks like Saigon Jokers are just going to pick this one up without any problems. There it is, free dragon, thank you very much. Can they stop NaJin Sword taking down the turret? That's the question. The Ezreal ultimate comes across, they're going to have to tank it up there. You can see Watch just off to the side there, and that's going to be an immediate engage. QTV going in, getting dropped into the crescendo, hitting the entire team, taking us down. Saigon Jokers dropping left and right. Archie needs to be careful. Violet being the next target. Violet getting dropped by McNoon again. Another double kill for McNoon. Now he is 4-0 and absolutely dominating here. Saigon Jokers weren't quite sure of that one. They came in for the fight, but NaJin Sword were ready and waiting.
NaJin Sword was daring them to fight there. They may or may not have known the dragon, but with how far up they were pushed into that tower, they were just waiting for Saigon Jokers to come fight them. And boy, were they ready. The crescendo really winning them that fight, setting up everything else, and they could potentially take a second turret off that exchange.
Absolutely, they're going to go straight into the second inner turret. Archie can do nothing but watch. He is helpless. Just spectate this one, just like the rest of us here in the crowd. We just have to watch that turret going down, and NaJin Sword turning that one small advantage of losing the dragon and fighting and just turning it into such a massive advantage, taking 2 turrets off the back of it.
And with all that, they're all going back whole heaps of gold on a lot of them. McNoon, 1,900 gold, he's going to turn that in to a BF sword, so he's going to be absolutely crushing with those EQ combos, because that's all he's put points into at level 10. He's maxed his acceleration gate, he's maxed his shock blast, and it's just a huge, unreal amount of burst damage that comes down into Jace at level 10 already. How is Saigon Jokers going to deal with that? 4 turrets to 0 down already. Total aggression coming out from NaJin.
Yeah, so watch here. 8-6 up the kills, 21k to 17.2, so gold advantage clearly coming from those turrets that NaJin Sword have just been taking down left, right and center. All the outer turrets currently down, the one inner turret down. NaJin Sword definitely with map control. Just going to drive things home and see if they can pick anyone off there. McNoon, and it's like you said about the acceleration gate, you know, he's just picking people off left and right with that thing. It's a pain in the for I had to watch what I said there for arrows, but you know, here on the moment on the top lane we saw SOAS with it so delicately just ripping through teams at the EU regionals for Fnatic, and honestly the teams have just picked it up from there on in. You know, McNoon actually mentioned SOAS in his brief, you know, saying that it's a shame that he didn't actually get to meet SOAS here. He just, which is obviously where a lot of players have picked up Jace from. We've seen Dyrus running it as well lately.
It's really, once you learn how to play Jace, you're a huge threat. And McNoon is just one of the masters, really. He was drawing bans from it during the Korean regionals, and I'm expecting bans from it in the rest of this group because this is so difficult for Saigon Jokers to deal with. They were holding the map pretty well, aside from QTV losing that lane early. Then QTV went to Rome, and we thought that was all well and good, but then McNoon went to Rome and really just turned the game on its head.
So as it is, Izzy Viner's trying to farm out in that top lane. Meanwhile, Archie, he's got to be careful he doesn't get caught out here. Rise definitely feel aggressive for this one. It's one of the things that's been mentioned. Song has started to go a lot more aggressive than he used to. He used to be that passive.
Violet up top.
Almost Scar. Violet is definitely going to get caught out. Dropped in seconds there. And Watch just popping that ulti, just hooking him in. There was no escape from that one. McNoon just picking up another assist. 4-0-2 for McNoon. 2-1-2. And you talked about this build earlier on with the boost mobility and the Oracle being built very early on.
And now with Watch, since they have the advantage, since they've taken down towers, there's not much Saigon Jokers can do to farm because, as we saw there, NaJin can wait in brushes and know that they're not have vision on because they just both followed in the brush. Everyone on Saigon Jokers really restrained to their base. These outer turrets could very well fall. Their jungle is no longer their own. The lanes are no longer their own. And NaJin doing a great job at just pressuring around and keeping Saigon Jokers on their heels.
QTV's got to be careful he doesn't get collapsed on here. I can see Song just going around the side there. A whole of Saigon Jokers now. This is going to be a full-on 5v5 in this top lane. The ping's going down. I think Saigon Jokers may have realized it. The whole team is there. QTV getting caught out by the Rise ultimate going across them. You can see McNoon just trying to get around the side. He wants to really start things off here. The Kane crescendo, I've talked about it earlier on. It seems to be the big thing that starts off the team fights. Once that crescendo hits across, and he seems to land it across a minimum of 3 players every time. They're going to tank up against the turret here. You can see they really want to start to fight, but instead they're like, oh, are we going to have to take this turret down? Okay, fine. We wanted to fight, really.
Saigon Jokers got very heavily poked down there. The Rise ultimate actually did a substantial amount of damage, and then Archie got hit pretty hard by a shot blast from McNoon. They're most likely just going to go all around the map here and take out the second tier turrets in every single lane individually. They have 5 turrets now, soon to be 6. They're just making sure to keep up their goal.
And McNoon's poke, we just saw it blast across there. Carpenter's hit points dropped instantly. He has now got that BS scored. He's just getting stronger and stronger by the minute at the moment, McNoon. Proving really why he's so popular. He's definitely one of the fan favorites, certainly in Korea and honestly in the Western world as well. You know, he was over here in the season 2 the
Riot Games World Invitational.
The Riot Games World Invitational, yeah, that you guys played and obviously made famous for playing Yi.
Yeah, McNoon may have beat us pretty badly. He clicked Nasus, destroyed us, picked Yi, built 4 Phantom Dancers and destroyed us.
He kind of made you look silly.
Sad memories.
And that was the live testing team, I believe, mainly. Yeah, now that I've seen you all in the office, I'm pretty sure that's all of you guys that are all sat there. So yeah, we guys were spanked by McNoon, and you know what? It doesn't make you feel too bad when he starts doing it against other pro teams, so honestly, you shouldn't feel too bad for yourself. He has just completed that Bloodthirster 4-0 to 130 CS, and you know, we talked about it earlier, the CS isn't really the thing that NaJin will go for at the moment, it's the kills.
It is, and that's normally what Saigon Jokers likes to do. They love to just go for kills and try to create a lot of action early. It's just NaJin Swords made more action, and they're beating them at Saigon Jokers' kind of own game. Here they're going for another dragon, Global Goal getting bigger and bigger, and Saigon Jokers is too weak at this point to go for kills in a lot of situations.
Yeah, they cannot get involved in this one, and they're wise not to. They're just going to sit back and farm. They're in that dangerous situation where they're group farming. So really the experience, the gold has been spread too thinly. And Archie's got to be very careful he doesn't get caught out of position. And here is a 3-man gang squad coming from Saigon Jokers. You can see they've used the gate. And Archie was well ready for it, but Watch managed to hook straight in. And that is a very dead Archie. And Watch ended up picking the kill. They weren't really that bothered. And now Prey actually picking up Judy, trying to 1v3 them here and have to back away from that one. He has got the help coming out. Song's going to come around the side. Violet's got to be careful he doesn't get caught out. Here comes Song. He's going to try and get involved. Nixwater could easily get caught out. The Wall of the Pain diving out towards Song. Could it be a bait? QTV going to be the target. They're just turning around. Looks, he's trying to get forced back. QTV's going to get away. The Ignite is running. Song is still there. The flash from Kane. Flash crescendo from Kane going full on aggression. The rest of his team were not with him. But McNoon from downtown slams it home. And that's going to be the Karthus ulti doing nothing to stop them. And NaJin Sword will take the first inhibitor phase. Oh! Song got caught by Archie Desperate ultimate just as he's about to exit. And that's going to be careful.
Long-range skill shots galore, and that is a big play overall for NaJin Sword. Nothing is slowing down MacNoon, and that Boots of Mobility Skarner comboed with the gate from Jace was an unreal amount of speed. Archie had no way of escaping at the very start of that huge long engagement.
It was a very long engagement. I wasn't too sure whether Kane had gone a little bit too deep, but I forgot MacNoon was in the team. And then he just came back and supported him. It's all good. I love to see those flash crescendos. It's something I'm used to seeing Melisan used to do, and sadly is no longer playing for Fnatic, and obviously stopped playing League of Legends, but he used to do that quite regularly. We saw it at IEM New York where they went unstoppable, and you know, it's one of those things you don't see. I mean, obviously we see Gosu Pepper going very aggressive on Sona, but we don't tend to see the flash crescendos coming out, the full-on aggression from those support, and you know, that just shows, that backs up the theory that the whole team is an aggressive beast.
Everyone on NaJin Sword just goes. You don't see them sitting back. The last game you and I did was the CLGEU, just the last one. CLGEU is patient.
Yeah.
NaJin Sword's not patient. NaJin Sword goes. They take every small opportunity and just pounce on it. They execute, and they are all out aggressive, and it catches a lot of teams. They never have a time to think. They don't have a time to get a counterattack ready, because they just get hit again and again and can never stand back up.
Which goes to show, you know, how strong CLGEU were to beat NaJin Sword 3-1 in that semi-finals of the OGN Summer Championships. You know, how they countered it, well, we will soon find out, because they'll be playing each other in the next 2 games. So, I mean, there's so many good games still coming up. This is the very start of Group B, really. We've just seen CLGEU beating Dignitas. If you missed that game, apologies, I've just spoiled it for you completely. You can check that VOD out. It was a pretty slow farming session, though, so I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit of a damp squid, that one. So 12-7 NaJin Sword, though, definitely an aggressive one. If I would recommend any game through the day, it would involve a Korean team or an Asian team, because honestly, they have all been super aggressive, and I love this style of play.
So far, they've somewhat stolen the show from a lot of the other teams. They've been dominating almost all of their matchups. Really, the only Chinese or Korean team to lose thus far was when they played against each other. So right now, we actually see MacNoon trying to split push while the other 4 are posturing around Baron. This is a little curious, because MacNoon is the strongest member. He has no reason to not be with the team right now. And it's at this point, NaJin needs to think about turning the game into a victory. Saigon Jokers is at the point where they have to try to make a gambit play. This is really the last-ditch effort if Saigon Jokers wants to do anything.
Yeah, they realize, and MacNoon has now rejoined the team. He's pushed that bottom lane, so that's going to push itself, which means somebody's going to have to go deal with it. And NaJin sort of slowly but surely setting up for a Baron. Do they want the Baron? Or do they just want to force a fight at the Baron? And Relia's pings seem to be going on towards QTV. QTV's got to be careful. He's already backtracking. He realizes the dangerous situation he was in. And NaJin Sword respect that he's going back already and trying to set up for some sort of gank. There's a real lack of wards from both teams in this, though.
Forcing the fight would be ideal. Watch has been taking out all of Saigon Joker's wards, and NaJin doesn't really care to ward right now because they win every fight.
Junie.
And Junie, scouting around. So ideally right here, NaJin wants to get a fight, trying to take a Baron with the potential of a Lux and an Ezreal coming in for a steal, as well as potential smite. That would be the only thing that could get Saigon Jokers back in the game. NaJin Sword is so far ahead, they don't actually need Baron to get in this inhibitor, and that's what they kind of realized here. They realized Saigon wasn't going to try to come for a Baron fight. Instead, they're just going to walk up and take this inhibitor if they can get it.
Yeah, there's no tower to stop them, so why not just go for it? MacNoon actually opening up on the bush there, just to take a little check there. He's just going to get a little bit of poke on towards that inhibitor. The question is, can they catch Saigon Jokers out? I'm expecting to see maybe a flash engage here from Song, or maybe even Kane, something to that extent. They are slowly but surely poking him out here. Wall of Pain hitting the team, but again, Frey not really that bothered. Nixwater getting dropped down a little bit there. MacNoon managing to land that accelerating gate spoon, and there it is. There's the flash engage straight away. The crescendo goes across the entire team. Saigon Joker's dropping left, right, and center. Nixwater going down. There's just one member left. It's going to be an ace. It is going to be Junie. And honestly, that Carter's ultimate may as well just throw a towel at NaJin Sword, because they have just ripped the team apart. MacNoon, you can't tank 2 turrets, son. You may be good, but you're not that strong. And that may be put a little bit of damper on the back of it.
He did the same thing in the final game against CLGU. They won an ace, and he just ran straight into the Nexus turret on Jace. Only death of the game for MacNoon. That's almost his victory celebration.
There is a surrender.
And there is a surrender. GG to NaJin Sword. Amazing job.
Amazing, amazing job. Those flash engages, very strong. And NaJin Sword looked very happy with that one. MacNoon giving the 2-man arm salute there. Not to be confused with the finger salute, which looks like we are getting from the team. So really happy with that one. I'll tell you what, I'm so impressed with the Korean teams right now. They have turned up at this tournament. You know, we talked about, you know, how nervous they may be coming into this one. They have shown no sign of nerves at all.
You watch NaJin Sword play in these team fights, and they're just faster than some of the games we're used to. The things happen in a quicker fashion. The fight starts and it's over before you even realize it. They just so much execution, and NaJin Sword is the best example of that.
Okay, so let's just check out the scorecards from that game. And honestly, you know, actually, we won't check out the scorecards. I'll ignore that, so it's all good. I was ignoring it anyway, so that's okay.
Fine.
But I mean, honestly, we can look at it. We've got the McNoon there, 7-1-6, double bloodthirster. That's aggression.
He's going for the EQ combos, right? There is an amazingly large AD ratio on that Shock Blast once you throw through the acceleration gate, and there just wasn't the defenses. They didn't have the time to farm up. He was just blowing through them. In those team fights, they had way too much AoE, and it's just the speed at which they team fight and the coordination of everyone going. There's absolutely no hesitation with what they do, and that's one of the big differences between them and the rest.
And that aggression, as you can see, let's check out the board and see where that puts them. It is going to be 1-0 alongside CLG EU. Saigon Joker's going down to 0-1 alongside Dignitas. Obviously, the first two games of Group B now being played out. And honestly, there is still another 4 games to go. It's already getting dark, ladies and gentlemen, here. The lighting will really start kicking in. You guys can see on your screen, that is NaJin Sword. What a fantastic, fantastic performance those guys just put in.
I just can't say enough about how strong they were coming into this tournament. They were unexpected at the start of OGN Season 2. Newly formed team. They were really supposed to be NaJin's just kind of secondary team, but they've blown everyone away. They beat Azubu's almost A-team coming in here,
yeah.
Azubu Blaze, in the regionals. And really, you have to take them extremely seriously because they went through the gauntlet, essentially, and came out surprisingly on top.
Could we possibly see 2 Korean teams 3-0 in the group stage?
It's not out of the question because it's going to be, at least out of these first 2 games, the 2 1-0 teams. Obviously, a lot can happen in this group. But NaJin Sword, COG EU, that's a matchup that happened before. COG EU came on top. But NaJin's done a lot of growth as a team. They were still very young when that happened. It would be a great game to see, and I wouldn't be surprised if both Korean teams were 3-0.
And the Saigon Jokers didn't start off too badly in that game. You know, they started off, they got the first blood. How are they going to pick themselves up off the back of that one? They've lost to what, you know, even we count as one of the top teams.
It's going to be really interesting for them because Saigon Jokers, they got to just come up out of that. And in that last fight, we're talking about how fast NaJin Sword creates these team fights. Are they able to just, let's see that replay real fast, can they just crush down on this last team? Because as soon as they landed the crescendo, as soon as they landed that Skarner ult, they just created the fight, and it was over before it started. The flash ult at the start of it, and watch McNoon's E and Q after the Skarner pull is going to be almost immediate. There's nothing Saigon Jokers could do to react because everyone died before they're able to do something. And they're, boom, everyone pretty much obliterated. Even though they were sitting in Karthus defile, the fight was over so fast that that was the only damage they had to worry about, and they could just tank it.
And the problem is they actually followed the hook. You know, we saw the Skarner hook go in, and everybody followed it because Karthus said, oh, I'm going to defile in there. Everybody went in, so it's just like, oh, thanks. Kane's just like, I'm going to crescendo the entire team. Thank you. Have a merry dance.
Multiple crescendos of the entire team that game.
Multiple
and
crescendos.
If we have to see some
is that a ban
adjusted bans for NaJin Sword almost. The bans that game, while they were targeted, I got to say, Jace and Sona from Kane and McNoon are really threatening because the way they were playing those, really, really hard just to counteract. Jace pokes you and pokes you and pokes you, and you try to come in, and all of you guys get crescendoed. So what do you do against them?
What do you do indeed? Well, we'll find out, because coming up next, it is going to be NaJin Sword going up against CLG EU. It is a replay of the OGN Summer Championship semi-finals. We'll be back in a few moments. It will be Freak and Riv taking away the action.